Warriors, welcome to this exciting video where we're going to be discussing home tests that you can do in order to gain a deeper understanding as to why you're experiencing these certain symptoms of anxiety and emotional distress within you. Robyn, I'm pumped up.
Yeah, this is the kind of video I feel like we wish we would have had, like years ago.
Yeah, because first and foremost, let's understand that these are home tests. They are not meant to be the end-all, be-all.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that you're communicating with your naturopath and your doctor and such, and this is more informative more than anything.
Yeah, it's taking your health into your own hands, and with your test results, now you can take them to your healthcare professional and, save some time, and knowledge is power, so it's great for you.
Right. Now let's get into these, because when we think about symptoms of anxiety, we're talking about anxiety, and many people out in the world connect that to the emotional states of a person, the physical states, what they do, what they think, and so forth. But we don't take the time to recognize that the cause could be something very different that is causing the symptoms, and therefore the symptoms are again causing the cause. So it's a rapid kind of cycle, isn't it?
Of course, it's a two-way street.
Two-way street. Let's get into the first one. The first one is related to Candida. Okay, my personal experience with this, I didn't know what the heck it was. Years ago, I went to the naturopath.
Yeah,
She said,
you kind of came home and you were like, I have Candida.
Yeah, I'm like, I couldn't even say it right. Candida, what? And so I came home with a couple of herbs and some knowledge that I could use. I started to do a little bit of research, and so it took me a little bit of time in order to bypass that toxicity in my body and therefore alleviate the symptoms. But what are we talking about here when we're talking about Candida?
Yeah, so if you don't know what Candida is, it is a fungal that's in our gut. And that's fine as long as it's not growing out of control.
Right.
And then that's when we have problems. So a diet high in sugar and fruit can actually cause it to go out of control, especially if we're stressed and anxious at the same time. It kind of seems to be like that. It works together, and then you're just causing havoc in your digestive system. You're feeling gassy, bloaty, dizzy, brain fog, anxious, like all these things are common symptoms.
So good one.
Yeah.
Common, very common. I hear these all the time with people going through the program, working with me one-on-one, very common symptoms. Now let's get into the home test.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got a couple glasses of water here.
So you grab just a glass of water.
This one. This is the empty one. Go ahead.
We have just an empty glass of water. And what you want to do is work up a lot of saliva and take a big spit into the water. What you want to notice is if your saliva stays on top, this is a great indicator that you have great gut health and you should be clear of Candida. If there's little strings coming down, then we might need to work on your digestion a bit. And if it sinks directly to the bottom, this is a pretty good indicator that there could be some Candida and yeast overgrowth happening deep down. Now, there are a few things that could, sway the test a little bit if you've just had dairy in the last 24 hours or if you're extremely dehydrated. So, have a good diet, drink well, and then about 30 minutes after all of that, give a big spit.
Right. And this one here, I'm proud to say, I was a little bit nervous about it. I said, oh my God, I got to do this test again. And looked pretty good. Our friend came over 20 minutes later. You could see that at the bottom, as I showed earlier, he's got some work to do as far as his Candida goes. So there's a lot of gunk at the bottom there. Whereas Dennis was doing pretty good. Yeah. It's all kind of at the top, hovering there. So a fantastic test, and it's so simple.
And a fun science experiment with your kids.
Totally.
Teach them about this stuff.
Totally.
I would have loved to know.
The second one is everything. In my opinion, it's related to adrenal fatigue. And how many times do we hear about adrenal fatigue that is directly connected to things such as brain fog, memory issues, concentration issues, all these things kind of interconnected. So when we're talking about adrenal fatigue, what are we talking about?
Yeah, so our adrenal glands, it's just this little gland that's behind our kidney. And if we have a go, go, go mentality, if we're living off caffeine to get through the day, or a lot of sugar again, if we're extremely anxious, our adrenals just can't keep up. So there's this great test that you can do where you stand in a dark room and you've got a mirror and a flashlight. And you stand in the dark room, let your eyes adjust to the dark. And now you're going to shine the flashlight just above your eyes, not directly in, about 6 inches away.
Right.
So you're shining the flashlight and you're noticing, what is my pupil, the little dot in my eye, doing? And now what we want it to do is to contract with the light. So if your pupil gets smaller and you keep this up for 2 minutes and it stays that way, that is a really good sign. However, if it dilates within those 2 minutes, that is a sign that you have adrenal fatigue. So this is a really good thing to do every 30 days. And if you are on an adrenal recovery plan, you can actually test and see how long your pupil will stay closed and contracted. And should get better and better if you're on a really good adrenal fatigue protocol.
Right. And I had a friend of mine do this to me, this test specifically at my house a while back. And again, he quickly realized that adrenal fatigue was going hand in hand with my emotional distress. So great test. And with adrenal fatigue, isn't it just such a confusing place to be, where people are doing something and hoping that the fatigue goes away, and they kind of get that second wind later on in the evening, and so they start to think to themselves, oh, I'm feeling a lot better, so they use that extra energy. I just want to make sure that each and every one of you out there understand that there could be multiple causes to this adrenal fatigue, so please don't take it lightly.
Most definitely.
The third one is blood glucose levels. Now, talking about blood glucose levels, first thing that comes to my mind is willpower, where your willpower becomes very much depleted as you are not taking care of your blood glucose levels. And what starts to happen is you start to revert back to unconscious ways of perceiving things in the outside world, and unconscious ways of acting. So you become highly emotional, and the emotional refractory period starts to set in, which means that now you are a victim to everything that's going on around you.
Yes.
So blood glucose levels, let's go into it.
So for your blood glucose levels, we've all been there where we've been hungry and we haven't fed ourselves. We fed ourselves with the wrong foods. And this is very similar to someone who's diabetic. This is a test that you would do at home. So you can pick up these little tests for about $20. Right. And it has all the instructions on the back, and you literally prick yourself and it will tell you and let you know if you fall in the right guidelines of your blood sugar levels. So it's really important, because if you have low blood sugar, hypoglycemia, it's very similar to a panic attack or something. It can be a precursor to a panic attack. So low blood sugar is shaky, dizzy, lightheaded, irritability, nervousness. And it's really interesting because the next step above that is, your heavy chest and your panic attacks. Right. So, do this test for 3 days at home. Check the chart on the back and see where you fall in the guidelines. If you have anything abnormal, that's when you want to take it to your doctor and discuss with them your protocol and exactly what you need to get your blood sugar back in balance.
Right. The fourth one we're talking about is related to pH balance. Isn't this one where it gets overlooked all the time?
Yeah.
When you think about your symptoms of anxiety, like pH balance, but it's such a vital part of the human body. Let's go into it.
So an acidic body is in a body that will harbor stress and anxiety, disease, and all that stuff. So what you can do is you can pick up these really inexpensive tests. We'll link it here. And you literally just, put it on your tongue for 2 seconds. And really fun with your kids, because it has on the back the little colors showing whether you're neutral, if you're acidic, if you're alkaline, and 7.6 is neutral, where you want to be. And it's really interesting because for Dennis, he was exercising quite a bit. And it was interesting because he was showing that he was a bit acidic way back when he had anxiety. And then it was interesting when he brought in more meditation, more yoga, he became more alkaline. So stress and all that can also cause an acidic test.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
So that's a big one. Is there any specific pieces of advice that we can give the warriors as far as the type of water that they're drinking, and how much to consume each day to keep that at balance?
So I would say it really depends on where you are in the world, because some tap water is fluoridated. I would say do not have that if it's fluoridated tap water. We were so lucky when we were in Italy. It was fresh mountain spring water. So if you have access to that kind of thing, then it's great. Do the tap water. If not, you want to be picking up a water that is alkaline. Like when we were in Bali, rather than going for the Nestle, the big one that we could pick up, it was Balian water. It was from the mountains, and it had a major difference on how we felt and our reading in the pH test.
Right. Now, all of these tests and the descriptions and the information will be in the description.
Yeah.
So we're going to write all that out. If you aren't able to watch this video multiple times, so don't worry about it. Just go in the description and read it out. Let's get into the fifth and final one related to thyroid. Again, one that gets overlooked many times when you're thinking about your symptoms of anxiety. And thyroid problems, especially my mom has gone through this personally for years.
Very common.
And her symptoms, her reactions to thyroid problems came down to an imbalance, kind of like a swaying feeling maybe. She also felt that her body was constantly under tension. And she also had has still a lot of indigestion issues. So very much connected, isn't it?
Yeah, so the thyroid is the thermostat of our body. And if we are reading too low or too high, then again, you can have all those symptoms of anxiety, just like Dennis said. Weight gain, weight loss is really common too with thyroid problems. So what you need to do, very simply, is pick up a thermometer and put it under your tongue. I think that's the best way to get a good reading. And so for a regular reading, you want to be at 98.6, and that shows that your temperature is great. And for an abnormal reading, so anything lower than 97.4 or higher than 98.6 is going to tell us that we need to check your thyroid and get on a protocol for that.
Right.
So very, very important. Also, thyroid is a good indicator of hormonal health. So, and if our hormones are out of whack, your recovery for anxiety is not going to be as successful as if you're feeling great and harmonious and hormonal great.
Right. And so all of these home tests are meant to provide a deeper understanding to how you got to where you are right now, right? Why you're experiencing what you're experiencing. And what you want to do is you want to limit the amount of frustration, although it can be very concerning. Why am I feeling this way? Why is it not going away? But to see it in a way as if it's some kind of a journey towards a better you, right?
Most definitely.
It happened, it's happening, but you have the capability to overcome and overlap all of these sensations, symptoms, and experiences that you're currently going through. Right?
And as a very good approach to all this, you're saying, oh my gosh, I've just tested positive. Obviously, take it to your healthcare professional. But secondly, just remember that the best thing you can do right now is de-stress, yoga, meditation, get some sort of CBT therapy behind you, eliminate the sugar, and try to take away from, instead of caffeine, explore new herbal teas, and just slowly try to adapt rather than, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. I've just tested positive for everything.
Right.
But really take your health into your own hands.
Right. And Robyn mentioned teas. This video right here will bring you to the 5 most powerful adaptogenic teas for anxiety specifically.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for being a part of this video. We love you so much. Remember, you are more than anxiety. Make sure to subscribe, hit the bell for all the notifications. And if you need more information on the End the Anxiety program, head on over to this website right here. Love you all.